Basically, you know, they can do one a year and maybe start a second one. So, Aaron asked me what's an average markup. I'm not going to tell you that, but size of them run from 100,000 for a store like one over at Paris, Illinois, to about 225 over 5 acres. It's all the size of the town and what they see the market as. Almost exclusively anymore, we're building super centers that have the grocery. I think in the last 5 years I've built maybe 1 or 2 Sam's and 1 or 2 straight Walmarts, the old dry goods style. So, but mostly they're doing super centers. Question about estimating. We still do, while we use technology, we do a lot of manual estimating. And that comes from me, and maybe it's because I'm getting old, but I just don't believe you can be accurate if you can't, in your mind, put these jobs together as you're going. Not just trust the stylist to say, well, there's X number of lineal feet of something or square feet, and figure it out for you. Now we do, we've built our own compilation program just using Excel, to where because we've done so many, we sort of know, well, okay, the electrical ought to be about this much and the mechanical about this much. So we have numbers early in the estimating process. But as the prices come in, we've got it set up to where we can plug in real numbers that we get from subs, and it'll run it through all the markups and additions and subtractions that need to be done. So it makes us very flexible on bid day, because most Walmarts bid at 2 o'clock, and 90% of our subcontractor prices are coming between noon and 2. So we've got to get that stuff analyzed and get it in very quickly. Some questions about increases. Material increases, I would say, is about 10 years, maybe 2% a year, average. Then Kenneth Pearson wanted to know how much my salary's increased. Well, mine's not very representative because I own the store, so regardless of what I make, I get to keep the profits. So, but my employees, the way I kind of work it there, we'll hire somebody new, and in 6 months we'll review them, and if they're doing a good job, they'll get a raise, and then at the end of a year we review again. And I have a real generous profit sharing plan. Each year I take 10% of what the company makes and I distribute it amongst the employees. So, you know, even without being told how much I mark things up, we're a $50 million company. There's quite a few dollars flowing through that place, so these bonuses get to be big. My superintendents probably make $75,000 a year with salary and bonuses. I've got a couple of project managers that'll make upwards of $300,000, and their base wage is $50,000. It's all commissions, incentives, and so. Well, superintendents are out in the field. Project managers. See, one of the things I do, and this is kind of important. Real big companies, they'll have estimators, and then they have project managers. Well, my guys do both. Now, and to me, the project manager, he buys out the job. He sees that these people are told when they need, the contractors are told when they need to be there. Then my superintendents, who are out in the field, monitor that to see that it happens like we've got it planned. I think that's the best way, because when you have an estimator, his only job is to get the job for you, which means he does it, he gets the absolute cheapest prices he can, and that's the estimate, plus a markup. And the project manager, he's stuck with those dollars, so he really doesn't have any chance to improve it because he's already found all the low prices. Well, what we do, and my guys, since they do both, they'll estimate it and they'll say, you know, we're in Lincoln, Illinois, and I know there's a great plumber over there that's, you know, worked for us before, and he can do these for X number of dollars, and we're getting prices a lot more than that. So we'll just put in what we know we can buy it for, and then when the guy turns from being the estimator into the project manager, if we don't have a price that's right, he can go to some other people we know, maybe not just the one, and start working with him to see if we can do it. Now, if we use a price to get a job, then we never shop that. If generally the electrical costs us $600,000 and somebody comes in at $550 and we put that in the bid, then he's got the job. Because I believe it to be unethical to take somebody that helped you get the job and then start beating on them or chiseling them, you know. So I don't know if that answers your question about salary increases. The real key at Colcon is to be a valuable enough employee that you work your way into these situations. The superintendents out in the field make $1,000 a week, but if they get a Walmart done under budget, their bonus for just the job is going to be about $10,000, and their year-end bonus the past few years has been about 15, which gets them up around 75,000. So, you know, I really try to be generous with them because they're earning the money. It's not me. I mean, for the most part, I sit in the office or come and talk to classes at Eastern. You know, so.
Did you get the bonus yourself when you were in Florida?
Beg your pardon?
Did you get the bonus when you were climbing your career in Florida?
Well, yeah, I've already told you that story. Guy I was working for, I was a superintendent, and I built a saccrete plant where they make that bagged concrete you buy. We got it done about $30,000 under budget. So it's just extra $30,000 the guy made, and this is 30 years ago. You know, so. And he gave me a $100 bonus. It really offended me, and I swore I'd never do that if I owned a company. So, which is why I got to be so generous with the profits. I never had a goal to work till I was 55 and quit or anything like that. I always liked what I do, and I've managed to surround myself with people I like working with. I mean, you know, I'm Steve to everybody over there. Somebody calls me Mr. Wright. My dad's been gone for years, and I still think they're looking for him. You know, and I like it that way. It's small, you know. So, you know, I told you we're there about 9 months. Superintendents are there on those jobs 5 to 6 days a week, depending on how the schedule's going. They may be as far as 300 miles from Sullivan, Illinois. They get home weekends. Since we have two, what we usually do is one of them stays Saturday and then takes Sunday and Monday off, and the other one goes home Friday, comes back Monday. Then I have project managers there in the office. They have to visit whichever jobs they're responsible for every 10 working days. Some of these are requirements of Walmart. Some are mine. I try to get out there once a month. And it got to be difficult because we're doing so many. In fact, I bought an airplane just so we can travel these things faster. So. We just find the nearest airport, and the superintendent comes and picks us up. Furthest one we're doing right now is like out by Springfield, Missouri, which is a 6 to 7 hour drive or an hour and 45-minute flight. You know, so instead of being gone 2 days, the project manager can be home at 4 o'clock. And I'm convinced it saved me hiring some people because they either stay overnight or get home at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're worthless the next day anyway because they're pooped, you know. So it's really been a windfall for them. we got a topic called administration, and Jill, you asked skills you need to be successful. Probably the most important one is just leadership. And a lot of that comes from being very knowledgeable about what you're doing, so that you can lead with some authority. That, you know, look, I know what I'm doing. And, you kind of need the ability to negotiate. Another great quality is be a good listener. When you've done a lot of these, there's a real tendency to think, well, I know best. And I have to admit, you know, early years I was a little bit like, after we'd done 20, I might have thought nobody knows more about Walmarts than me. It's kind of like getting out of college and thinking you know everything there is to know. But I've learned you got to listen to these people, because even if they're not right, they might have one good idea in there. Or sometimes you can pick out something that they're wrong about and explain that to them, why. The thing we get into, I tell you, you know, like the 6 electricians and the 12, 10 can't do it, you know. And I know that because I've watched it, I think 97 times now. And you can speak with authority. And then once you've listened, heard everyone out, you make a decision, and you got to make the decision. You can't put it off till 2 weeks from now, because meanwhile something's not getting done because you didn't decide. So be decisive, but be knowledgeable. Hear them out, and be willing to be a leader.